Hi guys, and welcome back to Regret It, Brexit Britain, where if you are a politician and you do not vote along with your party, they may hold back the money for a local school to be built in your area. What? 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 And also, welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me, and a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that have signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go through all your messages, I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all the messages for definite. So let's start with Adele, because Adele overnight has cancelled her Las Vegas. She's got a Las Vegas residency, which is supposed to be starting today. Right, but she's had to cancel. Right. I don't know. It's something to do with. I think it's something to do with the set and something like that. But Adele, fantastic artist, and obviously she's from the ends, isn't she? Because she's from Tottenham, so you know what I mean. So she's from the ends, so she's like Tottenham girl done well. Right, and she went to school. She went to school in Tottenham. She went to that school that down Black Boy Lane in Tottenham. Right, so she's what a lot of people don't know, but well, I don't know if you know about Adele, but she actually gets a lot of stage fright. She gets really nervous before she goes on stage. She gets proper stage fright. You know what I mean? Which I'm telling you, is a thing. What I'll tell you, probably most artists get that because it is actually a real thing. Do you know what I mean? Because you do get massive stage fright. Do you know what I mean? Before you go on stage, and I could imagine for someone like Adele, because obviously she's a major mega star. So I could imagine for someone like her, do you know what I mean? She's probably got like weeks or maybe months of it. Do you know what I mean? Because she knows she's got a show coming up and she knows she's going to be on stage. Do you know what I mean? And so that will be in the back of her mind, with everything that she's doing, until she actually gets on stage, right, and finishes that show, right. But obviously, this one is a residency, so it's running. I think it runs till sometime in April. That she was doing, like, I think it's 21 shows, so it is a lot of work, especially Vegas is a lot of work, but it's not like the first time Adele has cancelled shows. She's cancelled plenty of shows before. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like it's the first time, so yeah, so we'll have to, we'll have to like wish her all the best, and hopefully, like, maybe she can get over there and get her residency started really soon. I mean, apparently, I think Katy Perry or someone like that's over there as well. Do you know what I mean? So she's probably going to take up a lot of the slack from the people who have gone over, because obviously people have probably flown over there already to see Adele. And they may have probably even flown from this country to go and see her. Do you know what I mean? So this is a really late cancellation. I think she should just went and just like and just maybe just sit on a stool and just sing and just sing to the crowd, and just sing to the audience. You know what I mean? I think they still would have appreciated that. And so Andrew Rosindale, right, that idiot MP from Romford, right, this guy, right. So I'll tell you, right, because he was on LBC the other night, being interviewed and like speaking about patriotism, like that this is because this is when I heard like come out of his mouth, oh well, the lefty woke lot, they hate this country. So and he's insisting, right, that the national anthem, right, should be played on on all major radio stations or played out of offices at probably 1 o'clock or midday every day, and everyone should stand to attention. Do you know what I mean? And we should and we should be and there should be much more flags, and and people should be taught about English history and all these things. So, well, when you start talking about English history, right, that's when you get your major problems, isn't it? Right, because people start to realise what your statues are about. Right? I mean, what part of English history do you? Because English history, right, the majority of it covers colonialism, right? That is your English and your British history, colonialism, right? Whether it's in Australia, right, or whether it's in China, right? It could be Africa or the Caribbean. It don't matter, right? Always comes back to colonialism, right? How much millions of people this country has murdered, right, to take over their countries. That's what it always comes down to. Do you know what I mean? So Andrew Rosindell, he really needs to mind what he's actually asking for, right? Because he's one very, very fragile individual. Right, if you just listen to the way how he's speaking, right, because he thinks to himself, well, if I want to sing the national anthem, then I'll sing the national anthem. If I want to wave the Union flag, then I'll do that too, right? Don't try and force it down people's throat, because the only thing people will say to you is, mate, I'm not in motherfucking Pyongyang, right? I don't have to do that if I don't want to, right? Besides, there are Republicans in this country. Right, and you say, well, what? Because a Republican, right, doesn't like the national anthem, or doesn't believe in a royal family, right? That person hates the country. I'll say, give me a fucking break, right? And you see, these are the type of idiots here that are out there, right, speaking up for Boris Johnson, because Andrew Rosindale and Boris Johnson is good friends. When I was living in Romford, yeah. When the Tory flyer leaflet come through my door, right? I just had to tweet Andrew Rosendale and say, listen, don't be putting your racist propaganda through my door, right? Because if you see this flyer, the flyer looked like it could have come from UKIP, the BNP, or the National Front. That's how his flyer looked. Do you know what I mean? And with him and with a picture of him and Boris Johnson on there, right? But it could have quite easily been, Griffin and Katie Hopkins and Nigel Farage on there, right? With the way how this flyer looked. So I just had to, and then he blocked my ass on Twitter. That's not nice. Why these people always think stuff they can block your ass, right? Because you have a disagreement with them. I would never block anybody from anything. Right, I'm just one of them people that anybody can say, you can say whatever you want to me, so long as you don't racially abuse my ass. But you can say anything you want to me. I don't business. Do you know what I mean? If people think, if people think, your ideas on this are kind of really whack, then I don't care. If you want to tell me that, then tell me that. Do you know what I mean? We can argue that point. Do you know what I mean? But you can't be telling people, because I believe that GB News, right, is going to be playing the national anthem, I don't know, once a day or something, or maybe twice a day, right? But Andrew Rosindale, yeah, even in Parliament a couple of weeks ago, I heard this fool talking about, he's wasting, right? He's the MP for Romford, and he's wasting people's time talking about, after the end of the night on BBC, can't we play the national anthem? What the fuck is wrong with you? Seriously, what is it with you? I mean, you think, what the hell is wrong with these people? So, you've got that much time on your hands in the middle of a pandemic, right? Whilst, right, inflation is at the highest in 30 years, right? Gas and energy prices, right? Utility prices, right, is going through the roof. Food costs is going through the roof, and this man's talking about the fucking national anthem in Parliament. How the hell does anyone vote for these motherfuckers? Who the fuck votes for them? We've got the highest inflation in 30 years. Food prices is rocketing. Right? Everything is going up, right? And all we've got from these people, right, is because what you got to remember, yeah, is these guys, yeah, none of them are affected by this. Right? I've just heard Ian Dale, yeah, on GMB, because he's on GMB every Friday. Every Friday, I think he's on there Friday morning. Right, so I've just heard him talking about inflation, right? Because if you notice, yeah, as soon as the posh boys feel that they're in a bit of trouble, they're like, well, we can give like a £500 payment, we can give that to everyone who's having a problem. You can get £500 to help towards it, which £500, it's nice. It's better than a good swift kick in the bollocks, right? But, right, not enough, is it? It's not enough for, because when people have got bills of £1,200 just on the utility bills coming in, right? You know, that's still an extra £700. Obviously, they're saying it's £1,200, but it's going to be it's going to be more than that. So you're probably going to be looking. You're probably going to be more looking. If they say 1,200, you're probably going to be looking more 14 to 16. Right, that's the extras. What's going to be, right? Because these guys, when these guys work out their figures, right, they always work them down lower when they're working on these type of figures. If they're working on drugs figures, they work them higher. Right, so right, like when companies produce a car and they say to you, you get 55 miles to the gallon, right, and then 24 when you're getting your 24 miles to the gallon, you're like, how the fuck was it? How did they missell this shit? I said, oh, because when they test it, right? They test it in different conditions, right? But yeah, so as I said, the posh boys, right, feel that they're in trouble, right? And all of a sudden, they want to start spreading some money out. Oh, it's all socialism. Because remember, all these motherfuckers, they all live on socialism anyway, right? Because that's how they live. They all live on socialism. Because they've sold us out from years ago. Every one of our politicians, all of them have sold us out. Every one of them. Your politician, right? Your politician. You, look at yourself now. Your politician has sold you out. I don't care where you are, your politician sold you out. Right? Because you see yesterday, yeah, the MP William Rack, he's a backbench Tory, right? But he's on some committee, he's on one of those committees, right? But he just come and said, listen, you know what, yeah, there's been bullying and blackmail going on, right? For MPs who are not supporting Boris Johnson, right, are being threatened in all types of different ways. I mean, wow, what's this about then? I said, well, what's been going on? And believe me, yeah, this has always been going on. This hasn't just started. This is, in fact, right? It's only yesterday, right, that I read something years and years ago, right? Like, I don't know. It was probably when I read this. It was probably sometime, probably back in the 90s, right? And it's only yesterday that it's clicked in, and I thought, oh my God, I remember reading something about something like this, right? And because it was I was reading this year because it was a Tory MP, and he was representing one of the wards in Liverpool, right? Which, as you know, right, there hasn't been a Tory MP in Liverpool, right, for decades, right? Well, in fact, right, I believe he was. I think it must have been in the 60s. He was a politician around there. So I was reading, and he happened to be a Tory whip. Right, and he said, yeah, that if a politician, right, gets caught in a compromising position with a boy, right, this is something that we can hold against them to make sure that they vote in the way we want them to vote. Right, and then yesterday when I heard what William Ragg had to say, yeah, it's all kicked in. Right, and now I realise, yeah, for it's for hundreds of years it's been going on, right? But obviously, the work, the workers have only been able to have a part, have only been able to vote for, I don't know, I'm not even going to speculate on when the workers was given the right to vote in this country, because remember, the only people who could vote before was landowners. Right, and then obviously, the workers got in there, and then obviously the women managed to get themselves the right to vote. They had to fight for that, right? So so that's what he. So when I heard what William Ragg said yesterday, yeah, how to if they the whips, right, the party whips will go around and they'll blackmail the MPs to say, well, you vote in this way, right? Or, right, we won't build a school in your area. What? Are you serious? So you're telling these people, well, we are not going to give you the taxpayers' money to build a school in your area. Now, to me, that sounds more like mafiosa. Ciao bella to all my Italian peeps. All right, that's what that sounds like. Sounds like more like mafiosa. All right, something that the black gangs in Harlem or on the streets of London would be proud of that shit. Right, the IRA would be like, yeah, this is on here, right? Because that's some fucking gangster shit. That's what that is. That's way past. You know what? Yeah, if you don't pay me £100 a week, your shop windows could get broken. It's way past that. Right? This is on a higher level than the motherfucking Cray twins. Right? This is not running up in a fucking bank and sticking a fucking gun in the cashier's face and saying, "Give me some motherfucking money." Right? This, right, is depriving, right, what could be millions of people, right, thousands of people, local schools, local hospitals, local leisure centres, right, and your politician, because this happens to all of them, we know, right. Obviously, apart from the ones who will just blindly vote along with the government, you don't need to threaten them. But the ones who have gone in there, who might have gone in there for a social justice reason, they can't. There's nothing they can do. Right now, one thing we can say, yeah, that we know that this is going to be mainly a Tory thing, right? Because if you look at just look at Jeremy Corbyn's voting record, for example. Well, we can say that he's never been whipped into voting, right? Right? He did come in and was one to put his foot down to start whipping his MPs, right? But he's never been one that we can say, well, yeah, well, he's been whipped because we know that he voted against Labour on so many different occasions, right? So we can say this is more than likely a Tory thing, and as the Tories have been in power, right, for in the last 100 years, I don't know, it's been for them it's been, I think, probably 70 odd or maybe even 80 odd years that the Tories have been in power as opposed to Labour in the last 100 years. Right, so we can say that a lot of this, that the majority of this, right, would be down to the Tories. Well, I suppose the Blair government would have been up to a bit of this because Tony Blair, he is a Tory, so he would have been up to a lot of this as well. But this has been going on, right, and this is why, yeah, because I'm telling you, this doesn't come as no real news to me. Doesn't come as no real news to me. Do you know what I mean? To know that these people have been doing this type of thing for hundreds of years. Do you know what I mean? Because they've divided and they've conquered us, the working classes. Do you know what I mean? They've divided and conquered us and said, you know what, you've got working class people voting for the fucking Tories like fucking idiots, like lemmings. Right? When you're watching like Attenborough or something like that, and you see all the gazelles, and you think to yourself, why are you feeding so close to the lions? Right? You think, why do you do that? Why is it you do that? And you can see the gazelles. They're nervous. They're drinking out of the water, but they're nervous. They've got one eye on the lions, and you think to yourself, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you try and make your way to the other side of the river, right? So that you go somewhere else where the lions aren't there, right? But these people, right, for ever, this had been doing. They've been depriving us of stuff because this person won't vote, right, for their crazy ideas. So if you don't vote for it, then this is what's going to happen to you. Won't build a school in your local area. What do you think about that? Right? And you see now, all of a sudden, right, the posh boys are frightened. Right? So now, you can get £500. You can get £500. Well, we was broke. It's coming out of a pandemic. Right? You're talking about putting taxes up, and then you're talking about giving away money. Where does that come from? Oh, don't worry about that. You can get that. Don't worry about it. But this is who these people are. And you see, like back in the day, if you'd have like you'd have all these small revolutions and all things like that, yeah. And all that would happen, yeah, is the royal family. Because remember, the royal family used to run the country, yeah. So the royal family would just come along, right, and they'd probably find the chief agitator and just make that person into a lord, right? Give them a yearly purse, right? And then that person's like, yeah, well, the revolution. No, well, there's no point in a revolution. Besides, I've got, but besides, I've got this land now for us to work. Yes, I'm going to be the lord of the manor, but that don't matter. You can all work for me, and we'll be good now. So they stay peasants. They forget the uprising. They forget the uprising for now, and before they know it, they're too old to uprise now. Before they know it, they're working on the lord of the manor's land. Right, he because he was, and that's what all of our politicians are doing. Do you know what I mean? Because they're going to Parliament, right? Because so much of them say, well, they're going to Parliament to do good, so they're going to Parliament saying that they're going to do good, right? But really and truly, they've never got a chance. They have never got a chance of doing good, right? And right, none of them, right, have come out. Only now, right, when they're under so much pressure, they're coming out now and saying, listen, you know what, we're being blackmailed and we're being bullied, right? And you see, blackmail is not a nice thing. Well, I am a blackmail, right? But I'm talking about, blackmail, right? So blackmail is not a good thing, right? Especially when, like, it's, you could be blackmailing a million of people, without them even knowing that they're being blackmailed. Do you know what I mean? And then they think to themselves, well, but I don't know. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Just this country is just like, this country is just like, it's just an international joke, right? I was watching some TV from America, right? And when I tell you, they're just the piss. They're just taking the piss out of Boris Johnson it's just really horrible, and we have to look and say that's our Prime Minister. Well, it's your Prime Minister, because I didn't vote for Boris Johnson. Never would, never have, never ever will. All right, so so he's your Prime Minister, right? So the DUPP, right? Oh, that's they're the ones who do not understand politics party. So it's DUPP, right? The Tories just threw them under the bus the other day in the House of Parliament, right? And you see, the DUP, yeah. You see, what their problem has always been, right? Is their actors listen to leprechauns. I say, don't listen to leprechauns, man. To my Irish contingent, top of the morning to you. And I said to them, listen, don't listen to leprechauns. Leprechauns they'll always guide you the wrong way. You need to kiss the motherfucking Blarney Stone. That's where you need to be, right? Leprechauns, yeah, they're some horrible little motherfuckers, right? And always lead you the wrong way. And that's what happened to the DUP, following the Tories, thinking to themselves, yeah, well, you know what, they're our people, they're our people, we're good with them. Obviously in an Irish accent. Right? Good with them, right? But Tories was just like, because the DUP, yeah, they wanted to do a thing where they can double up, yeah, as a politician, so they can be like an MP and a local councillor, right? So and it was supposed to, and obviously that's got to go through Parliament, yeah. And the Tories was just like, and Tories was just like, yeah, we're not really feeling that, not really debate that, not feeling that. And the DUP was like, what? The Tories was like, no, just threw them under the bus. So because that would have really helped the DUP, yeah, because obviously they they would have they really do need to get back onto the floor, onto the actual ground in Ireland to try building up some support for themselves, because Sinn Féin is just going to wipe them out if they carry on the way they're going. Sinn Féin is just going to wipe them out. Do you know what I mean? Because the Tories have made the DUP look like complete and utter useless fools. That's what the Tories have done to the DUP. In the same way they've done that to the Liberal Democrats. Right? Exactly the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what the Tories do. Right? They look at these people, yeah. Because remember, the Tories, yeah, the real Tories, yeah, are the posh boys. That's what you've got to understand, right? And the posh boys always, right, you know, they always do the shit, and they make, right, the working class or the less well off take the blame. That's how the posh boys have always lived, right? And that's why they just throw the DUP under the bus now, right? Because the DUP, they really do need to get some of their MPs out so they can be local councillors. They need that. Tories like, you forget that, right? So I believe that Brexiters are calling for David Frost to be brought back into the fold. I don't know why, because David Frost is a damn fool. The man who actually, the man who wrote up a lot of this Brexit nonsense, right, and then needed to change it after a couple of weeks, right. The man's a damn fool. So I don't know why they would want to bring his ass back. And the Port of Dover, right, is asking the government to take an urgent look, right, at the new, obviously, at the new, all the new red tape. Because, that's smashing Dover to pieces. All now. I don't even have to look on the media anywhere, right? Because the Port of Dover is completely packed up, right? The traffic stacks back up somewhere onto and if that situation gets any worse, right, and then it starts to hit, and then you start to get problems over at the Dartford crossing, because that's not too far from there. Well, it is far from there, but it's not too far from there. And if we start getting any problems down there, well, what would happen there is you'll have the problem start from the Dartford crossing, right, and then that problem will start going right back to hitting Blackwall Tunnel. And then once that shit starts happening, right, then that shit will start hitting Rotherhithe Tunnel, right, and then after that, it's all of the bridges, right? So that could, have a real knock-on effect. If it gets any worse, it could have a real knock-on effect right through London if it gets any worse. So we're just waiting to see how much worse that shit is going to get. But Dover right now, yeah, is a no-go zone, right? And and you got things like, before Brexit, right, to export from China to Britain, yeah, an empty container used to cost £1,800. Right? Now today's price, yeah, is around £20,000, and that is why we've got the rises in inflation, right? Because imagine that, those prices have got to be passed on somewhere. In certain restaurants, in Brexit Britain, in certain restaurants, right, the prices are going up so high on a daily basis, right? A lot of restaurants are losing because they can't keep on putting their prices up, because they're gonna price themselves out of the market, so they can't keep doing that, right? So a lot of them are losing costs on, they might be losing costs on one thing that's on your plate, like, so say you have a big piece of beef, right? There might be, that right, might have cost a lot more on that day than it did the day before. And when I say a lot more, you could be talking like £2 a pound extra and shit like that. Do you know what I mean? So this is what is going on, especially in Brexit Britain, right? Where, as I said, yeah, we've got Dover that's completely packed up, right? It's gone from £1,800 to £20,000, right? To bring an empty container from China to Britain. That's not a full container. It's empty. That's someone who wants to buy. That's literally someone who wants to buy a container so they can use it over here. Yeah. So this is Brexit Britain today, right? And you know whose fault this is? This is you damn stupid ass people, who decided that you are working class, right? Less well off, right? Food bank, and you want to be voting for the Tories? Well, this is teaching you a lesson right now, right? Why inflation is at a 30-year high, because you put a damn fool in charge of the country, because of the racist motherfucking gene that you got up there, right? And that is the problem that we're facing in the world. Anyway, guys, this is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.